In this video, we are going to combine our meshes for our character. As you can see, we have our head, our body, and our hands and feet in separate pieces. But before we combine them and remesh them again, it's a good idea for us to fix whatever we need to fix now, because after we combine our meshes here and then we remesh this, it's going to have quite a high geometry number of polygons, where it's going to be a little bit difficult for us to manipulate our character. So yeah, any changes they need to make on the body or on the face, anything like that, I recommend to do it right now. So I'm actually gonna make a few changes on the face. I'm gonna go ahead and hide my hair right now so I could see the face better. Okay, so hair one, there you go. And gonna go to my sculpt mode. All right. I actually want to make the nose a little wider. So going to go ahead and make that wide. There you go. And I'm also going to use my draw sharp again to just make this a little deeper. There you go. And another thing is maybe could kind of widen this a little bit. And add a little volume there on the wings of the nose. And something like this here. All right. And I also think that the nose is a little bit, I think it needs to be a little bit shorter, because that's how noses of orcs are. And I'm gonna go ahead and hide the teeth for now. And yeah, this one's still showing, I think. Okay, I'm gonna go to my object mode and see where that is. Okay, so I'm gonna have to name this one teeth 3. So I know that I need to hide this also. Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and hide that now. I don't wanna really look at that. And I'm gonna go to sculpt mode. Actually, he looks a little funny, so I'm just gonna turn it back on. It's just the front. Okay. Now I want to make the nose overall shorter, so I'm gonna mask this area out. And yeah, just making sure that it has like really nice soft edges. That way I'm gonna have a nice transition when I move this up. Control I to invert. And going to further just soften this. And I'm gonna go to my move, going to a mask border, and just gonna move it up. Yeah, orcs do have short noses, so going to make that shorter there. Yeah, I think that could be a little too short. Maybe something like that. Yeah, something. Yeah, something like that. And I'm going to now, maybe I could mask this area out. Control I to invert it. Mask this. I want to kind of move this down, so I'm gonna go to my move once again, mask border, and just move it down a little bit. The spacing between the lips and the nose is quite quite a lot of space for orcs, as what I've noticed there. All right, and something like that. I'm just gonna go back to my move brush and move things around here, and maybe using my clay strip brush to just kind of fix this a little bit. And also for the nose, could maybe add a little bit of volume, maybe a little bit of folds here and there. And maybe for this here, I could make this a little bit deeper on there. And maybe a little volume on the nasolabial fold here. But we could further amplify that later on. And also for this, I want to kind of bring that lower. And the nose, I want to kind of fix this so that, because later on we are going to add like a nose ring here. And this nose ring should add a little bit of downward gravity on the nose, because you know, if you wear a nose ring for a long time, a heavy nose ring, you could just think about the effect that it does on the bottom of the nose. Something like that. Something like that. And I also want to do something about the brow ridge area. I'm really not feeling that so much. Yeah, don't get too attached, because you might look at your sculpt again and need to make some changes. So things happen. Okay, so like that. Maybe I could have, maybe, there you go. And then maybe I'm not really filling these lines here. Maybe I could just make it a little softer. I want it to be a little bit more on the realistic side. So I don't want to exaggerate a little too much on the deep lines there. And probably this one. Go and go. Yeah, something like that. And for the forehead, probably add a little bit of folds here, but I'm not really so worried about the details right now, because we are going to remesh this. And when we remesh this, a lot of some of these shapes are not going to be as detailed anymore, but it's good to have at least some of the silhouette. We really gotta have the silhouette there already. And maybe make this a little bit bulkier. Yeah, I think the brow ridge should be bulky enough. Yeah, that's fine. And another thing is, I do want to make the eyes a little bit smaller, okay? And I think that will give him much of a mean feel. A little bit scary look. Maybe a little bit smaller and also a little bit slanted. I want to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to mask this area out on the eyes. And another thing is, for the brow ridge, maybe he looks a little too mad. So maybe I could kind of fix that. I think I want to soften. I don't want him to look that mad right now. Maybe later on, if I want to make him mad, I could after it's been retopologized. But what you really want is, you want to kind of make it neutral, the eyes. Don't make too much of an expression, especially if you're going to animate this later. Okay, so Yeah, maybe like that. And also it'll be like easier to topologize later if you don't have it too close to the eyes, the brow ridge. Okay, so I think this will be cool. And I gotta go ahead and mask the eyes again. I do want to make it smaller. And I'm gonna Control I to invert it. So yeah, for this one, I wanna go ahead and make this eye smaller. So using my grab brush, I just wanna kind of move this here. And maybe a little bit slanted. A little bit more slanted. Okay, so maybe I could go with my pinch brush right here and kind of pinch this a bit just to make it even smaller. And of course we gotta make sure that, yeah, you could see the eyeballs needs to be fixed now. So I'm gonna go back, get rid of my mask. Okay, and probably could remesh this. Control R to remesh this. It might take some time because I think it's a lot of polygons here. It didn't take that long, but I remeshed that. And I'm just gonna smooth this out. And like this here. Okay, so I was talking about the eyeballs there. I think it needs to be smaller since I made the eye smaller. So we gotta make sure that it's fitting in properly onto the eye socket. So I'm gonna select my eyeball here, hit the tab key. And you can see I still have my measurement turned on. So I'm just gonna go to my viewport overlay and turn up the edge length. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and scale this down. I have the faces selected. And I'm gonna just scale that down. And as you can see, it's scaling the other side because I still have mirror on. And yeah, now I'm gonna go to my move tool. Probably I could move it a little bit forward. And I'm gonna hit my tab key. And then using my move tool, I'm just gonna move it. I think it's easier to move it this way with the polygon selected. All right. Now, of course, I think if you need to look the top and bottom and make sure that it's wrapping around nicely. And you can see that the width here is not really equal. You can see it gets thin here. So definitely make those changes for your eyes. Spend as much time on the eyes as possible because that's like one of the most important parts of a character. Okay. All right, I think that is good. And let me look here. Maybe I could add a little bit more. A little bit more volume here. There you go. And also around here, add a little bit more volume around this area. All right. Okay, so now I think we are ready to combine everything together. Yeah, probably the ears gotta be, I think I want to fix that a little bit. Yeah, one thing that you need to make sure is you just try your best to get the silhouette down as accurate as possible already before you apologized and before you remesh this again. Oops. And push this in a bit. So we're gonna have this Y shape here. And then gonna push this in. And also going back to the back here. Alright, something like that. Okay, I think I'm ready for sure. Now, just going to attach everything. So select the head, select the body, the hands, and the feet, and Control J to combine everything. And of course, combining it is not really gonna fuse and get rid of the seams. We need to remesh this in order for us to get rid of the seams here, where you see the separate elements. But before we remesh this, let's go to sculpt mode. And if you can see, zoom into all parts of your character's body where you have the separate elements and make sure that you don't have any gap. So right now there is a gap here where the feet meets up with the leg, the lower leg. So in order for this to fuse together, you need to make sure there's no gap. So in order to fix that, if you have any gap like that, like what you see on mine, you can use the pinch brush and pinch these together so they're gonna be close together, the meshes. So when you remesh it, when you remesh something that's close together, it will fuse together the geometry. So just go all around your character, look at every part of your character where you have the meshes separate and fuse them. Make sure that the geometry are sticking. Yeah, hands is sticking and also the neck is sticking, so that's fine. Alright, now I'm gonna go to the workspace settings here and let's go to our remesh. Okay, so for the voxel size here, you need to think about how much your computer can handle. So you want it just enough so that your forms of the face are not gonna completely go away. Alright, I mean, it's probably not going to be as detailed as you have right now, but as long as you still have some of those basic forms and primary forms, then you should be fine. But at the same time, you got to make sure that it's not so low, the voxel size, where when you start to navigate, start to lag, the software start to lag, or maybe retopologizing will be a pain for you because the voxel size for your remesh character is just too low and there's too much geometry. So definitely play around with this, make copies of your work and test this out first before, making sure that you have, definitely save copies, just make copies of your work. So just in case when you retopologize and it becomes a pain because you have too much polygons, then you're gonna have to reduce the remesh voxel size for your character. But I know 0.65 for the body for my character, so full body will work. Okay, so we're doing a full body. It's not just like the head or the hands or the feet, it's just the entire body. So I can't really have as much as, I can't really bring down the voxel size that low, and 0.065 will work. It's enough geometry for me, and enough that it's not gonna lag. So I'm just gonna go hit remesh and just wait for a bit. Alright, that took a few seconds. And now I am gonna go to my area where I have my seams. So they've been fused together, but you could see, even though they've been fused together, you still see those lines where they have combined and attached. So I'm just gonna go to my clay strip brush and just lay a clay on top around the area where I see the seams, and then smoothing it. I'm just gonna go back and forth between using the clay strip brush, laying on the clay around the seam area, and then smoothing. So right there. And probably get a little bit more volume here. There you go. And also, I gotta do the hand area. You can see that there's like some seams there. And just think about the anatomy as you do this. So I'm gonna make sure I am still considering the overall shape, form, the anatomical structure of the character as I am doing this. And also the leg area. Alright, so this is good. You see it's been fused together. And I'm just gonna press dot on my num lock. If you're having a hard time just navigating, just hit the num lock on your keyboard. The dot on your numpad, I meant. So that should fix that area. And this one also. There you go. And I feel like there's a little bit of like dip here, so if you see a little dip, you know, just use the clay strip brush, lay down some more clay there. And you could also use the draw brush to add a little bit of volume around that dip area, and then smooth that out. And also here. And yeah, around the foot area here. Okay. And here. All right, and just looking a little bit from far away, make sure everything is fine. Okay, so I think that should be good enough. And in the next video, we are going to begin retopologizing.